Hey, how's it going? I'm going to be going over something very interesting, and this is the generations, the genealogy, and the etymology of the descendants of Noah. So we're going to start here. This is Genesis 6, verse 9. These are the generations of Noah. Noah was a just man and perfect in his generations, and Noah walked with God. So what we're doing here is we're going to be taking a look at what makes what makes the generation of Noah so perfect, and this is something that is so beautiful, and we're just going to go for it straight up. So first of all, I want us to go here. So we're looking at the genealogy. So with genealogy, what we've got here is a study of the person, the tree, a family tree. Okay. And we're going to be looking at etymology. Now, when we study etymology, we're looking at themology, which is the theme, which is the true sense or the explanation. So etymology is the study of the true sense that explains any word. And here we're going to be looking at names. So a name is so important. But here name comes from a noun. So a noun. So we're going to be looking at these nouns. When we look at a noun, it's a word that can be used to refer to a person, animal, place, thing, phenomenon, substance. It's a very, very strong word. It's linked to this. This is noun, but this is nous. So what we're actually looking at is the etymology of the nous, which is the mind, the intellect, the reason, both rational and emotional. So what we're looking at is the genealogy, which is the basis of the tree, the family tree, which is the tree of life. And we're looking at etymology, which is the true sense of the word, while we're studying the word of God. The word. So when we have word, we have WORD. Okay. And then when we change one letter, we have wood. So wood is where we get the log. And from log, this is where we have logy. And logy is this. It's a suffix, which means a branch of learning, a study of a particular subject. So this is the wood. So this is the genealogy, the gene. So this is the gene, the generation, the genealogy. So when we look at the gene and we're looking at the names and we're looking at the etymology and we're in Genesis and we're looking at the word, this is very important. Very, very important. So I just did this for you to get the gravity of this. So just briefly, I'm gonna go to a certain website, but just briefly, the descendants of Abraham. So I'm gonna read this chapter very quickly, and then I'm gonna go over it. So this is the book of the generations of Adam. In the day that God created man, in the likeness of God, him. Male and female created he them and blessed them and called their name Adam. All of them were Adam in the day when they were created. And Adam lived 130 years and begat a son in his own likeness after his image and called his name Seth. The days of Adam after he begotten Seth were 800 years, and he begat sons and daughters. All the days that Adam lived were 930 years, and he died. And Seth lived 105 years and begat Enos. And Seth lived after he begat Enos 807 years and begat sons and daughters. And all the days of Seth were 912 years, and he died. And Enos lived 90 years and begat Canaan. And Enos lived after he begat Canaan 815 years and begat sons and daughters. and all the days of Enos were 905 years, and he died. As a side note, before I continue to verse 12, Canaan is very important, and I have quite a bit of material on understanding Canaan. Canaan is Cain, and Canaan here is different from Canaan's son, who is Ham's son. Oh, did I say Canaan's son is different? This Canaan here we're reading here is different from the Canaan who is Ham's fourth son, but they are the same even though they're different. So this is why it's very important. Canaan, this is the Canaanite. And it's interesting that this is in the genealogy of Noah, and Noah is perfect in this genealogy, and Canaan is not perfect. So this imperfection is perfection in itself. So this is how we look at the world. It's tilted. So it's not perfect, but because of that tilt, it makes it perfect. So this is something you have to understand deeper. So that's why I have more information on that, and that's why I stopped on Canaan, because this is a whole metaphysical understanding. But you're going to see why it's perfect in the genealogy and the etymology in the Genesis. So Enos lived 90 years, begat Canaan. Enos lived after he begat Canaan 815 years, and begat sons and daughters. And all the days of Enos were 905 years, and he died. And Canaan lived 70 years, and begat Malaliel. And Canaan lived after he begat Malaliel 840 years, and begat sons and daughters. And all the days of Canaan were 910 years, and he died. And Malaliel lived 500 years and begat Jared. And Mahalalel lived after he begat Jared 830 years and begat sons and daughters. And all the days of Mahalalel were 895 years, and he died. And Jared lived 162 years, and he begat Enoch. And Jared lived after he begat Enoch 800 years and begat sons and daughters. And all the days of Jared were 962 years, and he died. And Enoch lived 65 years, begat Methuselah. And I wonder who Enoch's wife was. And Enoch walked with God after he begat Methuselah 300 years, and begat sons and daughters. And all the days of Enoch were 365 years. And Enoch walked with God, and he was not, for God took him. And Methuselah lived 187 years, and begat Lamech. And Methuselah lived after he begat Lamech 782 years, and begat sons and daughters. And all the days of Methuselah were 969 years, and he died. And Lamech lived 182 years, and begat a son, and he called his name Noah, saying, so in this whole genealogy, saying, this same shall comfort us concerning our work and toil of our hands, because of the ground which the Lord has cursed. So the only etymology in the genealogy that we're given in Genesis, in the word, in the wood, in the logic, is we're given the etymology of Noah only in this genealogy. Although we do have the etymology of the name of Seth. So Seth is also given. So let's see. Let me see if I can find Seth quickly for you. Cain and Abel, right? Yes. And the etymology of Seth. Where is it? Okay. And to him also there was born a son, and he called his Enos, and then no, this is not it. Okay. There we go. This one in yellow. And Adam knew his wife again. She bare a son and called his name Seth, for God said, she hath appointed me another seed instead of Abel. So this is the etymology. Appointed, Seth. Okay? But when we come to this genealogy, we only get Noah's etymology in this genealogy. Okay? So with a little help from Chuck Missler. You can go to his website. So this is Koinonia House. You can check this out. Pretty great information from Chuck Missler. All right, he has some great information. So Adam. So we're just gonna go over the etymology now of the genealogy. So Adam, the first name comes from Adoma, which means man. As the first man, Seth, Adam's son was Seth, which means appointed, and we saw that one. Enosh, Seth's son was called Enosh, which means mortal, frail, or miserable. It is from the root Anash, to be incurable, used for a wound, grief, woo, sickness, or wickedness. It's in the days of Enosh that men began to defile the name of the living God. Next one is Kenan, which was Canaan. So this is from which means sorrow, dirge, elegy. Okay, so this is synonymous with Canaan. So in the King James, it's written as Canaan. All right, the next one is Mahalel, and this means blessed or praised. Actually means the blessed God, Mahalel. And the L refers to God, as in Daniel, God is my judge, Nathaniel, which is gift of God. The L retains the electricity or power of God. Then there's Jared. This is Mahalal's son, named Jared, from the verb yara, meaning shall come down. Some authorities suggest that this might have been an allusion to the sons of God who came down to corrupt the daughters of men, resulting in the Nephilim. Interesting. And then, so we have Jared, right? So some people think this is a prophecy in itself of the Jared, the sons of God coming down, because Enoch is the ones who is speaking to the watchers. So Jared's son Enoch, which means teaching or commencement, he was the first of 4 generations of preachers. The first of 4 generations of preachers. In fact, the earliest recorded prophecy was by Enoch, which amazingly enough deals with the second coming of Christ. Okay, so second coming of Christ. So the first coming was when? So this is Enoch, and then he was the first recorded prophet. So the book of Enoch is so important, so powerful. Okay. Methuselah. So with Methuselah, here we go. So I'm gonna read it from right here. So Methuselah comes from 2 roots. Muth, a root means death, and from shalak, which means to bring or to send forth. Thus the name Methuselah signifies his death shall bring. And indeed, in the year that Methuselah died, the flood came, and Methuselah was 187 when he had Lamech, and lived 782 years more. Lamech had Noah when he was 182. The flood came in Noah's 600th year. 187 plus 182 plus 600 is 969, Methuselah's age when he died. It is interesting that Methuselah's life was in effect a symbol of God's mercy in forestalling the coming judgment of the flood. It is therefore fitting that his lifetime is the oldest in the Bible, symbolizing the extreme extensiveness of God's mercy. So this is also another very interesting name. Just like how Jared could also represent the coming of the angels, Methuselah represents the punishment of the angels, but it also represents the mercy of God, that God gave him a long life, because Math's death, Methuselah shall bring, his death shall bring, and the next one is Lamech, which is lamentation. So Methuselah's death would be a prophecy of his death shall bring lamentation, which is his life being long, meaning that God is giving us mercy. Methuselah's son's name was Lamech, a root still evident today in our English word lament, lamentation. Lamech suggests despairing. This name is also linked to Lamech and Cain's line, who inadvertently killed his son Tubal Cain in a hunting accident. And then lastly, we have Noah. Okay. So, and Noah is to bring relief or comfort. So here is what it actually looks like. And here we go. This is Adam, man, appointed, is Seth, Enosh, mortal, Canaan, sorrow, Mahalalel, the blessed God, Jared shall come down, Enoch, teaching, Methuselah, his death shall bring, Lamech, the despairing, Noah, rest or comfort. Man appointed mortal sorrow, the blessed God shall come down, teaching, his death shall bring the despairing rest or comfort. So this is actually what's going on in the genealogy in Genesis, which is pretty amazing, because when you're actually looking at the text, when you're just looking at all of these things, you are, I don't know, I was just surprised that all of this actually has this type of meaning, and all of these are the descendants of Adam. So this is very powerful. Now, when you want to go deeper into the next stage of this, I already made a video which is called The Table of Nations. And in that one, and also Chinese people in the Bible and stuff like that. So in those videos, I speak of Shem, Ham, and Japheth and those children and how they populated the world. But all of this stems from this descendant or this genealogy, which is very important, because this particular genealogy in Genesis has the beginning of everything. This is actually the tree of life, in a sense, because these are the forefathers from Adam. So it's tracing this from the first man. So this is how a person comes from the sand as a seed and grows to be whoever it is. So this is us looking at the first tree ever planted by God, or the only tree, because this is where humanity comes from. So this genealogy, this etymology, this logic, this stem, this stump is very important, and this is power and knowledge. So we're going to go over even more of this, because having just one branch of this, like understanding how all of this connects as a whole, and also breaking it down into parts, just like how we're looking at the book of Enoch and knowing where it fits into all of this, and understanding that Enoch is actually regarded as the first prophet, or the prophet with the first recordings, of what he was prophesying. It's pretty amazing. So all of this information is pretty great, you know. So I hope that you got some value out of this, and I really appreciate you watching this. So I'll see you soon. Thank you a lot. May God continuously bless you. May there be grace abounding in your life. And I really do appreciate you taking the time to learn this with me, to explore this with me. So yes, this has been the biblical genealogy and the etymology of Genesis. So thanks a lot.